Yes, it's John G. Sutton. Tales from the jails. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about boxers in prison and notorious hard men. And specifically, to start this off, one particular notorious, well, he's famous now, individual that I met when I was at Wormwood Scrubs. He was on D Wing and he was convicted, I believe, of attempted murder. And he's now a notorious name. He's all over the press. You're looking up on, I think he's on YouTube. He's all over the place talking about being a born again Christian, and his son's very famous as well. And he's a boxing legend in his own right. And the man's called Jimmy Tibbs. And how I met him he was on D Wing at Wormwood Scrubs. Seemed a gentleman. You know, he was a nice guy. You see, the thing is about really people who can really do are sure of themselves. They don't have to swagger around pretending that they're tough guys, because when it comes to it, they just are tough guys. Yeah. But he was on D Wing at the Scrubs, and I spoke to him a few times. Nothing exceptional, because Jimmy Tibbs was a guy who wasn't looking for confrontation. He was looking to get through his time and get out and start his life again. He'd already won various boxing, like middleweight titles, and he was very professionally gifted as a boxer. He wasn't the only one who was in there who was famous. Of course, we had the guy who was Dirty Den on on EastEnders. In fact, did you know that EastEnders have had a couple of proper villains on there? There's a son of Freddie Foreman. I don't think he's a villain, but he was certainly mixed up. Well, his dad was part of the Richardson gang, I believe, who used to use Frankie Fraser as part of the enforcement team, and Freddie Foreman was a part of that. Well, his son is a famous actor and was featured on EastEnders. EastEnders tend to attract that, and also they had the lady who was the barmaid, the blonde barmaid. She was married to a villain. She was associated with the Cray twins, Barbara Windsor. I believe he was called Leapy Lee. I think he was part of it anyway. But there was definitely villains around them. The thing that strikes me about boxing, I mean, and quite of course, we've had the notorious Paul Sykes, who was in Strange Ways. He boxed for the heavyweight title. And there was when I was at Strange Ways, there was a member of the British Army, well, not the British Army, the British boxing team, the Olympic boxing team, who was in Strange Ways. Somebody had threatened him, and he got a sword, and he'd started waving it round. And unfortunately for him, the sword came unhinged at the handle and broke off and penetrated the heart of the person that he was. So he flicked it like that. He didn't mean to, and so I believe he was acquitted because it was non-intentional. He had no mens rea. That mens rea is Latin for guilty mind. He had no guilty mind, so he was automatically, well, not automatically, but he was acquitted anyway. The strange thing about boxing have you seen these heavyweight boxers who dedicate their fights? I dedicate this fight to Jesus Christ. I dedicate this fight to God. Now, this is the Lamb of God, you know, the peaceful one, yeah? You can imagine that looking down from heaven, yeah, he's putting his blessing on somebody who's going to beat the living daylights out of somebody else. Oh yes, I'll bless that one. Yeah, that's the one I want to win. Yeah, you can imagine. God, I'll have 10 bob each way on that one. You can't believe it, can you? It doesn't make sense to me personally. You know, I mean, I am a spiritual man, a member of the spiritualist religion. I believe in communication from the world beyond. And if anybody's interested in what my real beliefs are, which I'm sure you're not, but if you are, then you can look up my book. It's quite an extensive volume. It's called The Psychic World of John G. Sutton, and that's on Amazon. Quite an extensive, based on my 27 years as the feature editor of the Journal of Spiritualism, Psychic World. And there you go. You can also have a look at my website, psychicworld.net. So you know who I am, yeah? And I've met all these villains. A lot of them do. I absolutely admire what Jimmy Tibbs has gone on to do. He's gone on to helping a great deal of people. His son's training world champions, and obviously a very gifted, talented man. Something went wrong. He went in there, did his time, and he did it quietly, and he did it without, as far as I saw, any resort to violence, which was his natural propensity, because he was a boxing legend before he went into the prison. He was associating with people like Gordon Goody and Tony Lambriano. They were all on the same wing at the same time, which was D wing. And the regime on there was quite relaxed. You know, it wasn't the strict. I worked mainly on C wing, and on C wing it was just like a recreation of Strange Ways, but on a smaller scale. You know, where the staff were quite aggressively promoting good order and discipline. But we get to D wing, and it was let them get on with it. You know, they know what they're doing. When we say it's time to eat, we don't have to say anything. You know, when it gets to about 8:45, 8:30, 8:45, they go into their own cells and shut the door and get on with their life. So it was a quiet life on D-Wing. Until you got some notorious nutcase like Ian Brady going on to D-Wing, where they dragged him into the recess and give him a boiling water bath. He didn't like that, by the way, and complained, so they whisked him off back to the segregation unit. He had originally been on the hospital, but Ian Brady was caught buggering one of the young inmates on the hospital ward, and so they transferred him to D-Wing, and he was doused in boiling water. I didn't see him on D-Wing. That was what happened to him. I saw him on the seg. And people who have met Ian Brady experienced exactly what I experienced. He would sit in a single position staring in one direction. He wouldn't move for hours and hours. He was a real weirdo. Anyway, that's the trip down memory lane there. And if you want to read about Jimmy Tibbs, he's all over at the moment. I don't know whether he's doing a lecture tour or something, you know, an evening with Jimmy Tibbs. And he's a very witty, intelligent man. And he did his time, and he got out, and he's made a wonderful life for himself, helped his children, helped specifically Mark Tibbs, and it's an example to all who walk on the dark side. But the strange thing is, dedicating a boxing match to the Lamb of God it just doesn't strike me as being the right way about things. And I know this sounds mad, but I've got a theory about this. They talk about the Good Shepherd, yeah? What happens to the lambs? What happens to the sheep? I'll tell you what happens to the sheep. In all the cases, they get the hide ripped off the back, they get the shirt off the back, yeah? And eventually they end up in a curry somewhere. So if you're believing in the Good Shepherd and you're one of the sheep, stand by to lose your shirt and end up in the cooking pot. I'm going to sing you a little song now, which I know that you've all been waiting to see. wondering what glorious offering I'm going to give today. Yep, Stand By for Action. This is a song, and it was made famous really by Frankie Laine. Now, 40 odd years ago, before I joined the prison service, around about 1974, Frankie Laine came to tour England, and he did a big show in Manchester, and at the Blighty's Club in Manchester, just outside Manchester, he was on there for 5 nights, I think, and he had a bodyguard attached to him to prevent because he was surrounded by fans. He was a big barrel-chested man, you know, and the bodyguard for the week that he was in Blighty's was me. And at the end of it, he gave me one of his LPs and signed it, you know, best wishes, Frankie Laine. I've still got it here in my collection. And this is one of his number one hits, and it was top of the charts for about 6 or 7 weeks, I believe. This is I Believe. I can't sing it like Frankie Laine, believe me. He had a set of lungs. Wow, what a singer he was, and a real gentleman, you know. I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. I believe, I believe above the storm, the smallest prayer will still be heard. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe. Well, if you believed before that, it may be doubtful whether you still do. Tales from the Jails. Hey, give me a like and click the old dibbly-doo-dah, what do you call it, the subscribe button. See you soon.